Greetings, fellow traveller. Tonight, we do not step into parades or victory squares, but into the trenches, where loyalty is enforced at the barrel of a gun. Above, the world remembers flags raised over Berlin, speeches and statues cast in bronze. But down here, in the hidden architecture of fear, the sound is not triumph, but pressure soldiers pressed between two walls, Germans in front and their own behind. And tonight, that pressure depends on you. But before you step into the watch, let the room close in around you like a trench. Hear the echo of boots in the mud. Feel the weight of command settle heavy on your shoulders. Not one step back. Let your breath shorten, as if the very air has limits. Picture the rifle in your hands, the wood slick with sweat, the steel biting cold against your palm. You are not here to charge into glory. You are here to stand still, to be the wall itself, to keep the motherland from collapsing backward into ruin. And while you stand behind the line, send your signal a like, a comment, a subscribe, so these buried stories march beyond the smoke. Share where you listen from, so we may know this watch is not held alone. And so, you take your post. The trench is narrow, the earth raw and wet, smelling of clay and cordite. You crouch low, knees aching, the barrel of your rifle balanced on sandbags slick with mud. The vulgar wind licks cold against your neck, yet sweat trickles instantly down your back beneath the wool. Each breath tastes of smoke and rust, as if the air itself had grown metallic. Around you, men shift and murmur little only the click of safeties, the scrape of boots, the rasp of steel sliding into scabbards. Silence here is not peace. It is the taut pause before the line snaps. Then footsteps. Not German boots, but Soviet ones. Pounding hard against frozen ground. Shapes burst from the dark ahead. Your comrades. Braking. Running. Terror. Driving them faster than orders can hold. Their eyes are wild. Their mouths stretched in cries you cannot hear over the artillery thunder. The world above Stalingrad trusts that someone, somehow, will hold the line. They do not see that the line is a lie, that it survives only because men like you are here, weapons raised not against the enemy, but against your own. Then comes the shift. A shout rips through the smoke, the command sharp as a whip. Not one step back. Your finger brushes the trigger. The tide of men barrels closer, and this watch has only begun. You are not here by choice. Few ever were. By the summer of 1942, the Red Army had been bled, white millions killed, captured, or lost on roads that stretched back toward Moscow. Entire divisions crumbled. Cities fell like rotten teeth. Retreat was no longer just a pattern. It was a habit, one Stalin swore to break. The decree came down in July, stamped with his signature. Order number 227. Its words were thunder. Not one step back. Every officer, every soldier knew what it meant. Retreat without permission was treason. Cowardice was death. From that moment, the Soviet army carried not only the weight of the German advance, but the threat of its own shadow. That shadow was you. They called your unit a Zagradot triad, a barrier detachment. Born from the NKVD, the secret police, you were stationed not in the front line, but just behind it, close enough to hear every shout and scream. You dug trenches behind trenches, raised barricades behind barricades. You were the second wall, invisible until men turned to run. Then you became iron. Checkpoint duty became your bread and water. You stood on river crossings, rifles across your chest, watching lines of soldiers shuffle past, some wounded, some bloodied, some hollow-eyed, with exhaustion. Your gaze searched for weakness, for forged papers, for deserters hoping to slip through. Some were caught and turned back, pressed into penal battalions, Strafbat the suicide units where survival was measured in hours. Others were not so lucky. A pistol cracked at dawn. A body dropped in front of assembled comrades. The lesson burned into every watching eye. Fear will hold where courage fails. Yet executions were not constant, despite what whispers would later claim. Most men you stopped were sent back forward, a shove between the shoulders, a curse in their ear. But the power to kill without trial hung over everything, like a loaded weapon cocked and waiting. It was enough. You were despised for it. Soldiers spat behind your back, calling barrier troops jackals, cowards hiding behind braver men. Yet you knew your own risk. Fail to enforce an order, hesitate in the wrong moment, and the accusation of cowardice could fall on you. In Stalin's war, even the enforcers could be executed for faltering. So you learned to stand still, to harden your face, to let your rifle speak when words failed. The Germans pressed from one side, hunger and exhaustion from another, and from behind, the command hammered again and again. Not one step back. The world would later remember the victory, the banners, the march into Berlin. But in 1942, all that mattered was holding this impossible line, and you were the wall that made retreat impossible. Night falls over the ruins of a village. You crouch at a checkpoint where only chimneys remain, jagged teeth against the sky. A lantern sways in the wind, throwing nervous shadows across the road. A cart approaches, wheels squealing, pulled by a horse too thin to walk straight. Two soldiers lie beneath blankets in the back, faces pale. Their papers tremble as you hold them up to the light. The names don't match the roster. One man sweats despite the cold, eyes darting like a trapped animal. Your officer says the word flatly. Deserters. The cart creaks into silence. What happens next you are not told. Dawn breaks, and you're stationed at the Volga crossing. Smoke drifts from charred rafters, hanging low like a veil. Soldiers trickle past, some limping, some bandaged, some staring at nothing. Each is stopped, checked, questioned. Those without papers are marched aside, heads bowed, mud sucking at their boots. One man protests, voice cracking with desperation. He shouts of his wounds, his bravery, his loyalty. The pistol answers faster than words. The crack scatters crows into the morning. His body crumples, and no one dares to look too long. By afternoon, you patrol back roads stiff with frost. Your boots crunch over broken glass. You find him there, a boy, no older than 17, curled against a wall, rifle gone. His lips are blue. His teeth chatter as he begs to be taken anywhere but back. You give him water, even a cigarette. For a moment, it feels like mercy. But the order is iron. Deserters return forward, whether walking or dragged. His body trembles under your grip as you lead him away. You wonder if he survives the next attack, or if his bones already belong to the earth. Between these moments, the truth presses harder. The barrier detachments are not a rumour or a handful of men. They are hundreds, spread along the arteries of war, river crossings, rail junctions, forest roads. They hold rifles and ledgers both, combing through the ranks for weakness. They are not fighting the Germans directly. Yet without them, the line might melt away in panic. Still, each decision corrodes you. Who is the coward? The one who flees, or the one who forces him back at gunpoint? Every man who passes looks like you. Same hollow eyes, same mud-caked boots, same hunger gnawing the belly. The only difference is fate, a coin flipped in silence. One man runs, another stops him. Both are already broken, so the cycle repeats. Night, dawn, afternoon, lantern light on papers, pistol cracks at dawn, shivering boys dragged back into fire. Each scene ends, unresolved, but the questions remain. How many will you stop tomorrow? How many will you shoot? How many will slip through? The answers hang in the smoke, waiting for the next shout, the next order, the next trembling step. You learn the rhythm of this work quickly, though it never feels natural. Mornings begin with the same ritual. Rifles cleaned, boots checked, positions assigned. You take your place not on the front, but behind it. A second shadow to every soldier who marches forward. The mud here never dries, trampled again and again, by retreat and return. Your coat stiffens with frost overnight, then softens with sweat before noon. Hunger gnaws at you, but discipline is sharper. Daily life becomes a loop of waiting and watching. At checkpoints, you stand with your back to the river, eyes scanning every face that passes. Some stare straight ahead, expressionless masks. Others glance sideways, terrified you might notice something, anything that marks them guilty. You collect their papers, unfold them with stiff fingers, hold them to the light. The ink blurs, the edges tear, the names sometimes altered. You learn to read not only the letters, but the trembling hands that deliver them. There are lists to maintain pages of names copied by lantern light, scrawled in cramped handwriting. Men suspected of disloyalty, men who deserted once before, men whose units no longer exist to vouch for them. Each list feels endless, yet never complete. At night, the papers rustle louder than the wind. Orders arrive with absurd consistency. Paint slogans on walls. Not one step back. Organize political lectures in the mud, where commissars read speeches to men who can barely stand. Stage demonstrations of loyalty, even as exhaustion hollows every face. You watch these rituals unfold with the knowledge that tomorrow, one of the listeners might be the one you drag back by the collar. Sometimes the duties are small, almost ordinary. Escort a group of stragglers back to their unit. Guard a food wagon from being raided by starving soldiers. Deliver a deserter to the commander's tent. And wait outside, listening for the shot that ends the questioning. These moments blur together until time itself feels like mud, thick, colourless, inescapable. Yet within the monotony lies the constant edge of danger. You hear curses muttered when you pass, spit landing in the dirt near your boots. Some soldiers stare at you with open hatred. Others avoid your gaze entirely, as if to look too long might seal their fate. The truth is plain. They fear you more than they fear the enemy. But in quiet moments, when you sit shoulder to shoulder with the other men of your detachment, passing a cigarette between chapped lips, you see the same fear in their eyes. You all know the wall is fragile. Today you are the enforcer. Tomorrow you might be the accused. No one is safe. And so you hold the line, repeating the rituals, living the cycle. Yet beneath the repetition, a question waits. How long can a line of fear hold before it breaks? It happens without warning. The retreat that morning is worse than usual. Whole units stagger back across the field. Uniforms shredded. Faces grey with exhaustion. You are already raising your rifle when your officer's voice cuts through the din, not the sharp order you've come to expect, but something heavier. His finger points, not at a shivering conscript or a panicked deserter, but at a man in polished boots and a crisp greatcoat, an officer. The retreating colonel stumbles into view, his face streaked with soot, his pistol still holstered at his side. He is no coward in rags. He is a commander, respected, known. Men whisper his name with reverence even here, even now. And yet the order falls. Stop him. You freeze. Your rifle feels twice its weight. Around you, others hesitate too. The colonel's eyes blaze as he strides forward, shouting that the position is lost, that holding here is madness, that reinforcements will never come. His voice is not fear, it is fury. His words strike harder than artillery. If you force them back, you will kill them all. The world tilts. Until now, you've been told deserters are cowards. men too weak to face the enemy. But here stands a man of rank, declaring not fear, but reason. If he retreats, he does so for survival, for strategy, perhaps even for truth. And yet Stalin's decree makes no distinction. Retreat is retreat. The wall must hold, no matter who crashes against it. Your officer snarls. Shoot him. The silence that follows is louder than gunfire. Every man in your detachment feels the weight of it. To raise your rifle against a conscript is one thing. Against a commander, a leader, a man with medals glinting on his chest, it feels like treachery against the very army you claim to protect. The colonel sees the rifles lift, and his expression shifts from anger to disbelief. His voice breaks as he shouts, "Are you Soviets or executioners?" Your finger tightens, though your stomach lurches. The air tastes of ash and blood. Somewhere, a machine gun rattles, but here, all is frozen. You do not know what happens next. Some say shots were fired. Some say the colonel was dragged away, his voice still echoing, as he disappeared into the smoke. Others whisper he was executed quietly, buried without ceremony, his name struck from records. Whatever the truth, the lesson is clear. Rank will not save you. Honor will not save you. In this war, even heroes can fall to their own. The command hammers in your skull louder than ever. Not one step back. And you know now, it does not matter who stands before you. Anyone can be broken against the wall. The weeks that follow blur together. A constant grind of arrests and gunfire. You stop sleeping deeply. Each crack of artillery feels like it shakes you awake, even when your eyes are already open. Hunger gnaws, cold bites. Yet neither dulls the tension thrumming in your bones. Every hour brings another wave of broken men. Another decision that leaves no one clean. The orders multiply. No longer just deserters, now stragglers are suspect. Anyone separated from their unit. Anyone without papers, in perfect order. You drag men from ditches. Pull them from barns where they tried to hide a few hours' rest. Some beg. Some curse you with spittle on their lips. All are forced forward again, whether stumbling, carried, or pushed, at gunpoint. The Strafbats, the punishment battalions, swell with these men. You march them forward, rifles at their backs, into no man's land. The air trembles with the whine of bullets as they charge German positions head-on. You watch them vanish into smoke, whole files of them swallowed by machine gun fire. Sometimes a handful return, faces blank, clothes stiff with blood. They are sent back again the next day. Each time, you wonder if you've condemned them or saved them, and the answer feels the same either way. Rumours creep through the trenches like rats. Barrier detachments shooting not only deserters but whole groups who wavered under fire. Officers executed for hesitation. Commissars disappearing after an argument with the NKVD. You do not know which stories are true, only that fear keeps everyone moving forward. The wall is working, even if it cracks the men it holds. The sensory world grows harsher. The stink of unwashed uniforms, of cordite and burning flesh, clings to every breath. Your ears ring with overlapping echoes. Boots pounding, rifles snapping, screams swallowed by wind. The cold digs into your knuckles until your fingers split, blood freezing against the trigger guard. Even water tastes of rust, drawn from barrels lined with metal flakes. Everything reminds you of iron, iron command, iron rifles, iron will. And always, the faces. Every deserter looks like someone you knew. The boy who traded bread with you last week, the man who laughed too loudly at a commissar's speech, the officer who promised reinforcements. Their eyes follow you long after they're gone. Accusing, questioning, hollow. You begin to feel the line itself straining. Each order is harsher than the last, each moment closer to snapping. You are no longer holding soldiers in place. You are holding back a tide that wants to break through and carry you with it. And somewhere in the distance, the guns of Stalingrad thunder louder, drawing you closer to the moment when even the wall may not hold. The sound comes first, the low rumble of artillery swelling into a roar. Stalingrad is on fire again. Flames leap from shattered rooftops, sparks carried by the wind across the river. The air is thick with smoke, so dense it burns your throat before you can even swallow. You blink against ash, but the horizon itself seems to glow red, as if the city is a furnace built for men instead of metal. Then comes the tide. Soldiers break loose from the front, a mass of bodies stumbling, gasping, collapsing in the mud. Some have rifles still clutched in their hands, others nothing but torn uniforms. Their voices clash into a single cry. The line is lost. They're coming. You know what is expected. You raise your weapon. Around you, the others in your detachment do the same. A line of rifles braced against the wave. But this time it isn't dozens. It is hundreds. An entire company, broken, flooding backward. Boots hammering the earth. Eyes white with panic. The trench feels smaller, narrower, as if the world has squeezed you between a sea of terror and the command carved into your skull. Not one step back. One soldier surges past. Close enough you could touch him. You know his face. Just days ago you shared a cigarette, trading jokes in whispers when the commissar's back was turned. Now his eyes are wild, spit flecking his lips as he gasps. They'll slaughter us all. He doesn't even see you. Only the path behind. The promise of escape. Your finger curls around the trigger. Sweat stings your eyes. Your throat constricts. Your stomach lurches. The order has been given. If you falter, you will stand among them, another coward fleeing. But if you fire, you will put a bullet into a man who trusted you once, who laughed in the dark when the world still felt human. The roar intensifies. The enemy is close now, German shells ripping the earth apart, shrapnel whistling past your ears. The ground shakes under every blast, mud splattering across your coat. The soldiers crash into each other like waves against stone, some falling, some clawing to climb over their comrades. Their terror is contagious, a fever racing through the air. You glance at the others in your detachment. Some have already begun firing, their rifles snapping in the smoke, cutting men down mid-stride. The screams multiply of those retreating, of those enforcing. The line between deserter and executioner blurs into chaos. You are shaking now, but the choice cannot wait. The tide is upon you, the command burns in your ears, and the city roars like a furnace that consumes everything thrown into it. The wall is breaking, and you must decide whether to fire or be swallowed whole. The world explodes. Shells burst against the frozen earth, the shock wave slamming into your chest like a hammer. Smoke and dirt erupt into the air, swallowing shapes into grey. The ground quakes beneath your boots, trembling as though the river itself were trying to shake free of its banks. You are deafened, blinded, choked. The city is fire. The air is iron. Men surge toward you in a flood, faces twisted in terror, mouths open in soundless cries. Boots slap the mud, rifles slipped from hands, slick with blood and sweat. They crash into one another, clawing, shoving, desperate to escape. The line is no line at all. It is a wave, and you are the jagged stones meant to stop it. Your rifle kicks against your shoulder. The recoil rattles through your bones. A shudder that won't leave. You don't remember pulling the trigger, only the sharp flash. The body collapsing at your feet. Another follows, then another. The air becomes a storm of gunfire, a ragged staccato of death. Each shot tears through the cries of men you once called comrades. The mud grows slicker. Dark pools spread beneath falling bodies, mixing with melted snow, with rain, with everything that leaks from men when life is torn out. The stench of iron fills your nostrils until you gag. Smoke burns your throat raw. A scream pierces near your ear as a soldier crumples mid-step, clutching at the hole in his chest before the tide sweeps over him. Machine guns chatter from your flanks, tracers slicing through the chaos. Men topple in rows, arms flailing, faces breaking open in disbelief. The panic does not end. For every one that falls, 10 more rush forward, colliding with the invisible wall you and your detachment have become. Your rifle jams. The world narrows into frantic motion, hands clawing at the bolt, slamming it back, spitting curses through clenched teeth. In that heartbeat, a soldier bursts past, eyes wide, breath ragged. He nearly collides with you. You see his face clearly. He was the boy you led back from the wall, the one who begged for mercy. His gaze meets yours for the briefest instant, and then he is gone, swallowed into the smoke behind you. You wrench the rifle back into action. The crack of another shot rips through your ears, but you cannot tell if it came from you or from the men beside you. The line of barrier troops blazes, rifles snapping, muzzles flashing like lightning bolts across the night. Still they come. Still they fall. And above it all, the order screams in your skull. Not one step back. The smoke thickens. The screams blur. The rifle bucks again and again until your shoulder feels shattered. You taste blood where you've bitten your tongue. The world is fire, mud, and terror, and you cannot tell if you are stopping the enemy or slaughtering your own. When the gunfire fades, the silence is worse. The trench reeks of smoke and blood, the air heavy with the sour stench of cordite. Your ears ring so loudly you cannot hear the men around you, only feel the vibration of boots as they shift in the mud. The ground is littered with bodies, sprawled in grotesque shapes, some face down, others staring skyward with glassy eyes. Many wear the same uniform as yours. You lower your rifle. Your arms ache as though you've been holding up the sky itself. The stock is slick with sweat, your gloves stiff with grime. You can no longer tell if the dampness on your coat is rain, blood, or both. Around you, barrier troops gather what remains of order. They drag bodies aside, checking pockets for papers, for names, for proof of identity, before the mud swallows them. Some are dumped unceremoniously into shallow pits. Others are lined up, waiting for wagons that never come. It is not burial, it is bookkeeping. The survivors, those who did not flee far enough to be caught in the storm, are marched back toward the front. Their faces are blank, drained of all but mechanical obedience. They no longer whisper, no longer argue. Their steps are wooden, their eyes dull. They know what awaits them. Another line, another order, another death measured out by inches. You sit on a splintered crate, hands trembling, rifle across your knees. The fire from Stalingrad flickers on the horizon, painting the sky in shades of hell. Somewhere, dogs bark, scavenging where men have fallen. The sound makes your stomach twist. The irony gnaws at you. You were told your duty was to save the motherland, to hold the line at all costs. Yet what you see now is not salvation, but corpses piled high by your own side. The Germans are still there, pressing forward. But tonight, it was not their bullets that filled the mud. It was yours. Rumours begin to circulate even here. Some say the Germans will be stopped at Stalingrad, that reinforcements are coming, that the tide will turn. Others mutter that commanders themselves are under suspicion, that no one, general or private, can escape the reach of not one step back. The words feel less like a slogan and more like a curse. You lean back, closing your eyes. But rest does not come. The faces remain, burned against your eyelids. The boy who begged, the friend who laughed in the dark, the officer whose medal still gleamed as he shouted for reason. all swallowed by the same order. The wall has held for now, but you feel it's something inside you has cracked, and no order in the world can put it back together. The night is quieter now, though the quiet does not comfort you. Smoke still drifts over the Volga, curling in ribbons across the dark sky. The city glows faintly in the distance, a furnace refusing to die. Around you, men slump against sandbags, some cleaning rifles, others staring at nothing. The silence is thick, broken only by the occasional cough or the snap of a twig under a boot. And then it happens again. Boot steps in the mud. Shapes stumbling through the haze. Soldiers, your own, running back from the front. Faces pale, eyes wide. It is the same as before. The same panic, the same desperation. They rush toward you, towards safety, toward the illusion of escape. Your rifle is already in your hands. The wood feels heavier than stone, the steel colder than the river wind. You remember the first time, the disbelief, the hesitation, the order slicing through the smoke. Not one step back. Now, the command no longer surprises you. It is written into your bones. The officer raises his hand, and you move without thought. The men ahead are not faceless. You know them. You shared food, laughter, even hope. But none of that matters. The wall does not choose who crashes against it. One soldier slows, his gaze locking with yours. It is the same look you saw before, the silent plea, the wordless question. Will you shoot me? And you know the answer now. The crack of a rifle splits the night. Whether it is yours or another's, you do not know. The man falls, swallowed into mud and silence. The others halt, frozen by fear. For a moment, the tide that threatened to drown you recedes. The wall holds. But in that instant, you understand the truth of your role. You are not a soldier, fighting an enemy. You are the shadow of an order, the embodiment of fear. You are the wall that keeps the Red Army standing, but also the hand that breaks it from within. The world above will one day remember banners and speeches, medals and parades. They will celebrate the victory, the liberation, the raising of flags. But they will not remember this night, these boots in the mud, these rifles aimed at comrades instead of foes. You lower your weapon, breath heavy, heart pounding. The silence closes in once more, deeper than before. The faces of the fallen remain, etched into the smoke, into your hands, into the earth itself. The wall has held again. But at what cost? History remembers the victories, the banners unfurled over ruined cities, the medals pinned to weary chests. The speeches that promised the future had been bought with blood, but behind every triumph lies a silence filled by men who stood not against the enemy, but against their own. The barrier troops of the Soviet Union left no statues, no monuments, no parades. Their duty was too dark, too uncomfortable to celebrate. They were the wall behind the wall, the unseen enforcers who turned Stalin's words into iron reality. Without them, perhaps the Red Army would have collapsed at Stalingrad. With them, the line held but at a price measured in comrades' blood. You will not find their names in glory rolls. They are buried in footnotes, in fragments of declassified reports, in numbers tallied coldly across faded pages. Yet their story lingers. It lingers in the unease of memory, in the whisper that victory was built not only on courage but on fear. And what does that say of war itself? That survival can be manufactured through terror, that nations will wield fear as ruthlessly as rifles, that sometimes the difference between hero and coward is nothing more than which direction a rifle barrel points. As you step back from the smoke, from the mud, from the echo of boots pounding the earth, remember this. History is not only the tale of those who charged forward, but also of those who stood behind, ensuring no one turned back. Both were trapped, both were consumed. If you have stayed through this story, you have kept watch with them. Leave your trace a like, a comment, a subscribe, so these hidden voices are not left in silence again. Share where you listen from, across countries and years, so the roll call of memory grows longer. Because in the end, the world may celebrate victories, but it is these unseen labours, gritty, brutal, forgotten, that built the path to them, and history, whether it speaks their names or not, still bears their shadow.